Hello, everybody. Give me a color right here. Blue. Blue. Okay. Give me an emotion.
Happy.
Happy. Blue. And give me a location anywhere.
Italy.
Oh, Pakistan and Italy. I'm gonna travel. Okay. I'm gonna try to do both at the same time. All right. So what you just heard, was actually never been written, and will never be played ever again. Hopefully. So what you heard was improvised, and today I'm going to show you how improvisation can change your life and transform mistakes into opportunities. So I grew up in France, in the suburbs of Paris, in a place called La Banlieue, in the 9-3 district, which is notorious for its big projects, low family incomes, and first generation of immigrants. It's also known for its violence and drug trafficking. On the flip side, it's an extraordinary place of creativity. Growing up with my twin brother in a family of artists, a mom as a dancer, an actor as a dad, we lived in an environment of improvisation. I remember one night working from my parents' performance at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, and my dad asking me to speak softly because everyone was sleeping in the building. He said, but we were different. He said we were artists. That moment really stuck with me because that's when I realized that even if we were poor like the rest of the residents in the project, it felt different because we were artists. That's when we had our own special way of living. And that moment I knew that creating your own path was a mindset. And music presented itself as the perfect way to create my own path. Originally, playing violin was just discipline, learning a technique on an instrument. But in the summer of 1999, everything changed. I was 13 years old, not on that picture, I'm a little bit younger here. But, and I met Florin Nicolescu, a Romanian gypsy violinist. I never heard a fiddle sound like this. It felt impossibly free and powerful. That day, my life took a different turn. Improvisation was no longer an option. It became a quest. Giant Steps by John Coltrane was considered to be the most difficult tune for a jazz musician, so I was like, okay, I'm going to start with this one. The more I studied improvisation, the more it started to leak into my daily life, a way of thinking and being, a radical choice to refuse anticipation, whether it was walking down the street or looking at a new piece of music. Like refusing to know what would happen and never looking back when it had happened. At 16 years old, I was playing shows all around France. And at 18, I won the first prize of a Paris jazz competition. That really felt like, that really felt like being on top of the world, yeah. But the fall was unforgiving. A new path is uncomfortable. And a new path might take longer than you expect. You are 19 years old. You don't speak English. when you move in New York City with $900 in your pocket. That money lasted a day. I left behind my family, my country, and moved to a new continent with no plan, just to go where the music was. For this to work, I needed to be flexible, patient, and trust that a new path will reveal itself. Knowing this didn't make things any easier. I couldn't afford to eat, and sometimes it meant starving in order to pay rent. But life presents itself with opportunities and choices. You can follow the ordinary, or you can risk everything in pursuit of something extraordinary. When you improvise, it starts with a feeling, an emotion, a color, an idea, and you are completely removed from the moment and completely aware of the moment all at once. At first, 99% of what you do are mistakes, and sometimes you get lucky. But eventually, you start to realize that your mistakes are opportunities to create new paths. What was once a mistake is now a stepping stone to a new musical idea. Just like Miles Davis said, it's not the note you play that's wrong, it's the note you play afterward that makes it right or wrong. But let me show you an example musically, if I can, if I may, I would say in America, if I may. So I'm going to create like a musical bed. Everything I'm playing here is like within the same scale. It's correct. It's supposed to be correct. Now I'm going to introduce a mistake. Let's see how it's up. See, if I play this, I could stop, or I can try to create something from this. So I didn't only play the mistake once, I played it like 6 times. And then I created a new idea with it. So some of the greatest scientific breakthroughs actually have been discovered by mistakes. For example, the penicillin. The dude went on vacation for 2 weeks, forgot a sample on the table, came back, and found out that the bacteria was killed by a mold growing on the table. Well, boom, the penicillin was born. Same thing for the pacemaker, the Vaseline, Velcro, and also the Viagra. I mean, that's another TED talk. Let's move on. Sometimes, though, the most difficult thing is to that point of departure. How do you even do that first mistake? By leaning into the unknown. That means trying something new. Could be anything. Like going to a new coffee shop that you always go. I think I saw you at this coffee shop, actually. Listening to a new kind of music, or finding a new itinerary to work. Like last time, I just changed my GPS to avoid the highway. It took me 5 hours to come here. I mean, I don't recommend it, but it was a new way. I discovered new things, some cows, and well, it was beautiful. Anyway, so try to do that. Small steps, small changes, slowly gets you into a new life, new perspective. But what happens in our brains when we are improvising? Well, I can tell you in 2008, a study put jazz musicians into MRIs to compare their brain activity. They discovered that when musicians were playing scale, memory scale, their brain looked very different than when they were improvising. During improvisation, that part of the brain is in red, decreased in activity, and that part increased. The red part is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. It's like your inner critic. It's that voice in your head that says, don't say that, or what will happen if I'm wrong? It's on each side in the front of the brain and looks like two evil little horns, no? On the other hand, we have the medial prefrontal cortex. It's associated with language and creativity. It really looks like the place where your unicorn horn could be, no? Yeah, I think so. So while improvising jazz musicians, their unicorn horn decrease in activity and their unicorn horn increase. It means that when completely immersed in the act of improvising, you are in the zone, your inner critic shuts down to let your unicorn take over. And then you are free, completely free to explore, free to try, free to fail, free to discover and experiment, setting your unicorn free. How does this apply in life, though? In 2009, I was in New York struggling, and I randomly crossed paths with a guitar player named Jerome Mitchell. He asked me if I wanted to join him for a jam session at a church gig he had. The church gig was pretty bad, but Jerome Mitchell plays so well. The following week, he offered me to join him in Washington, D.C. to play with the same church band at the US Capitol for Michelle Obama. Wow. I was pretty excited, so I said, is it paid, anything? And he said, no, but we get to play for the First Lady, and we're going to have some meal, free food. You know, so I was in. A few days later, we were on a bus to Washington, D.C., and we parked in the back of the Capitol, proceeded to special guest entrance, passing for security, like the bag, you know. And when we entered the building, I saw chairs, a podium, like cameras everywhere, like today. And it was crazy. I couldn't believe I was here. And then somebody yelled at me, saying I had to leave the building immediately. It was a guard. In fact, everybody else had already left, the musician left, and it was not where we were supposed to be. And Michelle Obama was nowhere to be found. It was a big mistake. I was escorted outside by security, and we ended up playing in a building across the street from the Capitol in the conference room for 5 people. I was like, whoa, I'm upset. I think I'm upset. And I looked at the guitar player, Jerome Mitchell, and he was so relaxed. I asked him why, and he said, we improvised so well together, Scott. I was like, okay. So years passed, and I thought I left this weird day behind, but 6 years later, on a random Tuesday, the phone rang, in the number. Somebody asked me if I wanted to do a gig in New York on November 6th. I did a quick Google search. First thing that came up was Stevie Wonder at Madison Square Garden. A few days later, I was at Madison Square Garden. At rehearsal, Stevie Wonder walks on stage, sat on the piano and started playing giant steps. I thought my microphone was off, so I was like, okay, I'm going to do a little, improvise a little bit with him, And he stopped right away playing and said, who is playing? That's one way to get fired before the gig even starts. So anyway, so his personal assistant took him to the stage, to the string section, and he asked again, who is improvising? Everybody was looking at their shoes, the tension was palpable. Then, out of nowhere, someone yelled, it's Tix, yay! And it was Stevie's personal assistant. I didn't know my name. He said, yeah, Tixier, I'm Lamar Mitchell, the cousin of Jerome Mitchell. That's why you're on the gig. He recommended you. Welcome to the family. Okay. Stevie said, Tixier, you're going to take a solo tonight. That led to a 2-year-long relationship and collaboration with Stevie Wonder. That was a turning point in my life. That laid the foundation for everything that came after, with Beyoncé, Adele, Pink Floyd, Hans Zimmer, and John Baptiste. All the opportunity in life come, thank you, in unpredictable ways, through small, weird encounters at random places, outside of your home. That's a principle of improvisation that can transform them into new paths that you could not have imagined. Improvisation offers the tools to practice a different kind of focus that can change our brains. It's something we can rehearse, refine, and apply to our family, jobs, and daily routines. Maybe by paying attention, remaining curious, spontaneous, trying something new, overcoming the fear of failure by embracing mistakes to develop your imagination can lead you to unpredictable discoveries and set your unicorn free. Thank you.